Okay, next step then is financial information. This is where you're going to use most recent bank statements, tax returns, W-2s, and other income records. So, last question from the screen here today. I feel like I need game show music. Do you have that polka music you were talking about before? No? So, this one, circle all that apply. What assets must be reported on the FAFSA? Circle all that apply here. A, value of the family home. B, value of retirement accounts. C, 529 college saving accounts. D, life insurance accounts. Or again, E, if you don't know. I'm going to give you a few seconds here. Again, circle all that you think you're going to need to report on the FAFSA. And again, thank you very much for doing this. This tells my bosses that I wasn't, watching Top Chef all night tonight, though I will be doing that later. Okay, and again, if you don't know, just go ahead and circle that E. We'll get you the answer before too long. Going once, going twice? Okay, good? Okay, thank you again for doing that. I certainly appreciate it. Okay, so the financial information section, and once you get done with this section, you're basically through. For income, when they ask for income, again, the help and hints section will help you with this, but you want to make sure you're entering adjusted gross income, not total income, okay? So that adjusted gross income is typically lower because it takes out the deduction, so make sure that's what you're putting in there for income. Also, with the economy, special accommodations are being made for dislocated workers, okay? So if you're having difficulty with employment right now, check out that definition for dislocated worker and check yes if that applies to you. Also, if you fill out your FAFSA and it's talking about 2012 information and in early 2013 your employment situation changes, you can't go back and change your FAFSA at that point, but you can contact your financial aid officer. Okay, so if after you complete your FAFSA your financial situation changes, contact the financial aid officer at the college you're going to. Okay, my favorite part of the FAFSA, and people tease me because I find the FAFSA so fun, but it really is fun because of tools like this, which is IRS data retrieval. This is new, okay? So those of you who've even had kids in college recently, this was new just last year. What you can do is, instead of typing in all your tax information into your FAFSA, if you use IRS data retrieval, you can just say, I want to transfer my tax information over, and it just magically appears through the magic of technology in your FAFSA, okay? It saves a tremendous amount of time, and it also doesn't need to be verified. So financial aid officers are under a lot more pressure recently to make sure that the information that's being submitted on their FAFSA is accurate. If you move it directly over from the IRS website, they know for sure it's accurate, and they're not going to come back and ask you for tax transcripts or anything else to prove your tax income. So that's why it's really important to try to get your taxes done so that you can use this tool, okay? There are a couple situations where it can't be used. The most popular one where it can't be used is for couples who are married filing separately. The tool can only pull one. If you do have to scoot early, if you could just complete that eval on the back, thank you very much. So if you're married filing separately, you won't be able to use that tool. Also, if you're filing electronically, you typically have to wait a week or two before you can use that tool. But even the head of household, we've been seeing people can use that tool. So for almost every other situation, you'll be able to use IRS data retrieval, which is why it's important to get those taxes done. Okay, so in this finance section, you're also going to be asked for any untaxed income, and then the value of cash, checking, and savings. Okay, so that the question is, as of today, what is your parents' total, or your total current balance of cash, savings, and checking accounts? As your FAFSA is being processed, they recognize that the last $22 that you have in your pocket might need to go for groceries, okay? They're not going to take every single dollar that you're reporting and apply it to the financial formula, okay? But they do need to have an accurate reflection of what's there. So some of the other assets that you're going to be asked about, you do not need to include the home that you live in. okay? Don't include it. You don't need to include a farm that you live on. You do not need to include any retirement accounts or life insurance accounts. Okay, so those are typically the big assets that parents have. The big ones, you don't need to include. So no parent house, no family house, no farm, no retirement accounts. Okay. Here are the things that you do need to include in these asset questions. So the other questions are, what is the net worth of your parents' investments, including real estate? What is the net worth of your parents' current business and or investment firms? So in this situation, you do need to include any other real estate. So if you have a cottage up north, condo in Florida, hunting land, anything like that, that does need to be reported, but your family home does not. Any trust funds, CDs, stocks or bonds, anything, basically any money that you can access that isn't designated for, just because you say, well, I'm not going to touch it until retirement, you could get it. If it's a stock, you need to include that. Also, 529 savings accounts do need to be included, and these are included in the parent's name. Okay, so even though the account might be in the student's name, you include them in the parent section. Okay. For these, you also, yes?
I assume the same applies to trust funds?
For trust funds, if a trust fund is in the student's name, it needs to be reported in the student section. Okay. These questions will be asked both for the parents and the students. Okay. So any account in the student name, other than those 529 savings account, needs to be reported in the student section. Any account in your name, in the parent's name, needs to be included in the parent section. Okay, 529 is the only one that's they float the other way. For any of these assets, you can subtract what you owe. Okay, so if you have a cottage up north, you can subtract what you still have mortgaged. Okay, it's just what you currently own. Additionally, if you do have a family business or a small business, any business that has less than 100 employees doesn't need to be included. Okay, so if you own your own business and you're a consultant or you only have a couple of employees, that business does not need to be included at all. Okay, so parents are typically surprised at the things that they don't need to include. Again, the help and hints box on the FAFSA will tell you everything you need to include, but those are the big ones. Okay, so a couple things to keep in mind. Student finances are considered more available for educational expenses. Okay, the idea they're going to ask for parent income and assets and student income and assets, and the percentage that they look at from both of those things, they look at parents less because parents are closer to retirement. They typically have more responsibilities, more financial responsibilities, more things to pay for, more bills, whereas 18-year-olds typically don't. Okay, so they're going to look at those student accounts as more available for education expenses. And again, just as a reminder, if you can't complete your taxes by that priority date, you can use estimates. Okay, once you get through that financial section, you're basically home. The next thing you need to do is sign and submit your FAFSA. And to do that, you're going to use a 4-digit PIN number. Okay? The PIN number is basically your electronic signature. It's just 4 numbers that you type in, that's your signature. Both the student and one parent need a PIN number. They need to be different. You really shouldn't use each other's PIN numbers. That's a good question. The question was, what if I already have a PIN number from filling out a FAFSA? Your PIN number is your PIN number. So as long as you're using your name, you can use that PIN number. The same goes if you have a student who has filled out a FAFSA before, that you don't need a PIN number for each kid. Your parents, your PIN number is your PIN number. Okay. If you forget your PIN number, there is an option on the FAFSA that says, what's my PIN number? Go ahead and click that.
I already filled this out as a grad student myself, but I fill it out as, is that PIN number going to be the same, or do I?
The PIN number will be the same.
From 2 years ago?
From 10 years ago. As long as it's a 4-digit number, you can use that PIN number for you.
So do they have that little button that says not in the space?
They do have, I forgot my password. You bet. People need to use that button when they filled out their FAFSA 2 weeks ago and need to make corrections, so no worries. It's, what they will do for those, they'll ask you, when you sign up for your PIN, they ask, you set up challenge questions, and so when you go back to retrieve your PIN, they'll ask you really fun questions like, what is your favorite color? Okay, and your favorite color might have changed in the last 3 years. So I always encourage folks as they are setting up their PIN number, use a question that will not change. Like, so one of the questions is, where do you want to go on vacation? Well, that changes for me depending where the Brewers are playing. So, choose a question like, what street did you grow up on? Or what was the name of your first dog? Something that you know won't change. Okay? You can get your PIN number right now. You can go to FAFSA.gov and get your PIN number now. Or you can get your PIN number the day you fill out your FAFSA. So if you're like me and will forget your PIN number if you get it now and need to fill out your FAFSA later, you can do that as you're completing your FAFSA. Okay, step 7 is confirmation. Once you get to this slide, you know you're done. A lot of times, that PIN page can be confusing because you need to enter your PIN, you need to accept and agree that everything on the thing was truthful. So a lot of times, parents and students will think they're done. You're not done until you get to this confirmation page. Okay. On this page, you can email yourself a copy. What you can do is also, if you have multiple kids and you need to do multiple FAFSAs, only on this confirmation page will you get the option to transfer my information into another kid's FAFSA. Okay? So if you do have multiple kids, if you can do it all at one time in one night, great. Otherwise, again, anybody want to guess on average how long it takes to complete a FAFSA? 20 minutes, exactly. It's 22 minutes. Way, exactly. If you have everything ready to go, okay, this Bring 6 to submit that we've been talking about, that's on the back of your folder. If you have everything, it takes 22 minutes. If you have IRS data retrieval, if you have your taxes done and use IRS data retrieval, I've gotten FAFSAs done in less than 15 minutes. Okay? You can get your FAFSA done during the commercials of American Idol. Not lying. Okay? Exactly, so you could get 3 FAFSAs done in the commercials for American Idol. Okay? There are questions on the back of your evaluation. So if you could please take a moment before you leave today to tell us how you did, or tell me how I did, and answer those other questions. Some of those might look familiar. Again, this is hopefully I taught you something, and you can answer those questions correctly now. Also, I'm not going to go through the entire presentation. If you look in your slides, you can get the information on what happens after the FAFSA. If you have questions about that, you can certainly talk to me. I'll stick around in this room until the last person leaves, okay? So I'll take any questions. Do you want me to take questions now?
I think you should, because there might be some that'll benefit the whole crowd.
Right.
I have got information, and I just wonder if it's correct, that the person that does the taxes in a divorce, the child has to be paid on those taxes?
So the question is, in the case of divorce, the student needs to be on the parent's taxes, and that's not true. So, again, the only situation, the only standard is who did the student live with most in the last 12 months. That's it. It doesn't matter, and even in cases of married parents, it doesn't matter if your student's on your taxes or not, you still need to provide that financial information. Again, you're not on the hook for tuition, but you need to provide that information.
You want to cite what's done at your tax return, you fill out everything else, and then once you get your tax return done, you use that for a lot of time. Can you go back and
Good question. So the question was, can you start your FAFSA, save it, and come back? Yes. Okay. You can fill out a little bit of the FAFSA in little pieces. If the phone rings and you need to go, just hit save, you're good to go. And the FAFSA will even automatically save along the way. Let me also say the FAFSA is only for 1 year. Okay, so if you don't have enough fun this year filling out your FAFSA, you get to have that fun all over again next year.